Legal analyst Melusi Xulu joins us to unpack this particular matter further. Mr. Xulu, good afternoon and thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Mfunde, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. So quite a lot has happened in the past 24 hours. We now know that a seventh suspect has since been apprehended. But just your general view on the strategy employed in this particular case to arrest the suspects, but for different crimes in an effort to sort of round them all up at once.
I think it was a strategy to make sure that if there are any loopholes in the case, they are all covered. And I hope that they would not, for the benefit of the state, they would have not have flouted any constitutional rights. You know, when the accused are arrested, then there are some confessions and so forth, like we've seen in the sense of Meyiwa case. So hopefully they've done everything the right way in terms of procedure.
And then the decision also to be quite mum on developments, because generally there would be public pressure with such a high-profile case. We've seen it so many times where there would be public pressure that update us. It seems that justice is failing ordinary people or even high-profile people in this case. But it seems to a certain degree they somehow could withstand that pressure and kept quiet, because we found out that the first arrest was actually effected in April of last year. What did you make of just that silence around this matter?
I think it was a great strategy. We know the provincial commissioner, Mr. Mkhwanazi, is a very effective and intelligent leader. So I think he chose not to make this a public case, and he chose to investigate in silence, and I think it has worked. But hopefully then everything will come up. But my interest in Mpondo is, have they arrested the mastermind, so to speak? Have they arrested the person, if those people were present? Have they arrested the person who sent those people to prison? Because we're going to have a Meyiwa case once again where I'm not saying people are protected, but where it may seem as if the masterminds are protected, and that will not be a complete pursuit of justice.
And that is a pertinent question, because perception is everything. And in a country such as ours, we've heard very worrying perceptions that perhaps the criminal justice system to a certain degree favors the rich, where they would be protected and ordinary triggermen would be the ones that are tried and then convicted for certain crimes. But I listened to an interview with the police's Athlenda Mata a bit earlier today, where she stated that they were hoping that by these men being brought to court and tried, perhaps that's where the motive and possibly the individual who called the hit would then be revealed to all of them. What do you make of just that strategy alone?
Well, I hope it will work, but you know, sometimes it just takes longer, so we end up not having hope. So let's hope it will work. But I would have loved for all of them to be arrested at once with the so-called mastermind. For example, in Mfunde, you see cases where a spouse has ordered assassins, if I put it like that, to kill another spouse. Immediately in those cases, the spouse is arrested, the killers are arrested. So you want something of that nature, but can they trace payments? Can they trace who paid? But I just have a belief that once the mastermind is not arrested, it's not complete, but hopefully their strategy will work.
And then what of the scenario that many have spoken of, that you've got these 7 suspects, 5 are due to appear, but that there's possibly a scenario that even upon interrogation, that they might not even know the man who called or woman who called the hit. That in this instance, there could be a situation where there are 3 or even 5 go-betweens, where the hitman never knows who the person calling the hit is. And that's purely to protect themselves, that there would be somebody who facilitates and another facilitator where it eventually gets to the hitman.
In scenarios like that, sometimes, I'm not saying that they will do that, but the prosecution will just give an offer to one of the 7 and say, look, if you give us the main person and you give us evidence, we might give you a lighter sentence. And if they see that the case against them is strong, they might say, okay, I'll agree to that. Let's get a contract and let's do that, and then I'll give you what you want as long as you give me what I want. So I think that might help. But at the end of the day, it shows that it was a very specialized killing, if I'll call it like that, because whoever wanted AKA dead really wanted to make sure that they kill him, but they wanted to make sure that they are not found as well. So it might be difficult, but like I said, let's hope for a complete pursuit of justice. The mastermind, or the so-called mastermind, will also be arrested.
That scenario that you speak of possibly one of the suspects being called to the side and offered some sort of a plea bargain, that would still mean that particular suspect must know who the original mastermind is, not what has been referred to as a mastermind, who is somebody who facilitates the weapons, or what we've been hearing, you've got the spotters. I'm talking about a scenario where these 7 might absolutely not know who the person is that called the hit. Does that ever exist? Because one would think it has become such a big industry, as we've heard, of calling hits. So in that instance, there might be a original person who called the hit that might want to protect themselves and place a significant distance between themselves and the hitman. So would we not see a situation where really it is just the hitmen who are tried and possibly convicted?
If that's the scenario, I think we might just accept, at least if we will be, having sympathy towards AKA's death, we might just at least say, at least someone is being arrested, someone is being prosecuted, and there will be justice to a certain point. But sadly, we will never know who called the hit. But at least let there be some justice, and we can get some joy out of that if we are supporting AKA and we want justice for him.